Problems, they come up all the time. How to improve problem-solving skills is what we're taking on today at Live on Purpose TV. Perspective is everything. The way we look at something matters, and it makes a difference. To think about problems differently helps us to approach them in a way that is more productive and actually more efficient. What is this problem? Is it a puzzle to be solved? Is it a threat that's going to destroy your life? Is it an opportunity for something creative to happen? See, how we frame the problem is going to change how we look at it. Now, a little bit of brain science will help here. In fact, let's just take 3 steps here to improve our problem-solving skills. And the first one has to do with our brain. Step 1, turn brain on. Okay, now, your brain is always on. What part of your brain is dominant or calling the shots at this point? We've talked in other videos about the fight or flight response. The fight or flight response is your brain's own defensive mechanism that kicks in automatically anytime there is a threat or a perceived threat. It doesn't even have to be a real threat. The fight or flight response is a chemical response triggered by our brain and using the glands in our body which create and store chemicals. The adrenal gland, for example, it's located right near your pancreas, and it creates and stores a chemical called adrenaline. It's like it's just holding it there for you. Just in case you need it. Made you some, let me know. And then it's just holding it for you, right? Until it gets a signal from your brain, the limbic system in your brain that tells it, hey, we got a threat here, there's a danger. Oh, got some stuff for that, squirt. And it squirts it right into your bloodstream. That adrenaline has an effect of increasing your heart rate, for example. And it's not just adrenaline. There's cortisol and there's other chemicals, okay, that kick in and flood your system. One of the things that happens in the brain itself is a decrease in blood flow to the prefrontal area of your brain. This is the part, folks, that's doing problem solving. Oh, that's how this is relevant. Conflict resolution, creativity, empathy, compassion. A lot of good things are happening up here in the front part of your brain, but it gets shut down. Why? Because your brain loves you, doesn't want you to be bear chow, for example. If a bear's barreling down on you, what are you going to do? Sit down and think it through? No, you're going to be toast, right? Your brain wants to preserve your life, and so it kicks you into fight or flight mode, shuts down the thinker so that it doesn't get in the way, and allows you to just get to business with either putting up your dukes or getting the heck out of there. So notice that your brain's just taking care of you. But we got this problem because the part of our brain that does problem solving gets shut down when we face a threat. Nothing is wrong with you for doing that. It's just how your brain operates. It's a survival thing. So step 1 is turn your brain on. What part of your brain? Prefrontal cortex, the part that's going to do the problem solving. Okay, we're going to need that if we're going to do effective problem solving. One of the quick ways to get there is breathing, slow, focused breathing. You can get there through meditation. Physical exercise is helpful. Tends to reverse that process in your brain. Meditation, mindfulness, all of these things can be helpful. And rather than going into detail about any of those, just realize there's a lot of resources that you can use to do step 1. Turn your brain on. Get back into thinking mode instead of fight or flight mode. Now let's move to step 2. Expand your options. What if you were trying to solve a problem and you could do either this or that? So an example, one of my clients was trying to decide what to do with a relationship that he was in. And his thought was, either I can stay with this girl and get married, or I can dump her, we can break up. Well, that's not a lot of choices, is it? If it's either this or that. What if he had 3 options? What if he had 5 options? What if he had 15 options of things that he could do to solve that problem? The literature suggests that there is an optimal level somewhere. I can tell you it's not 2. Okay, it's probably not 50. But having more options to choose from gives us more possibilities. So how can we do that? One of the things you might consider, whatever problem you're trying to solve, ask yourself, am I looking at this as an either or? If you are, you might want to expand those options. What if I could do both? What if I could do this backwards or upside down or inverted or in a different order? These are brainstorming techniques that you can use to look at any particular thing. So if I'm thinking, well, I need to do this and then that, what if you did that and then this? Just reverse the order. Or turn it upside down and see what it looks like. Or what if it were in a different color? You see, we're starting to open up the mind to consider different options. When we're brainstorming options, it's good to remain open to any possibilities, as crazy as they might seem. And some of the craziest ones can bring about some of the greatest innovations and solutions that we didn't even know were available. So step 2 is to open up those options, to create more options. Don't worry about picking one at this point. Just create more options. One of my favorite questions to my clients is, what do you think your options are? This helps me to know how they're thinking about it. And usually, if they're tied up in some anxiety over something, it's because it's an either or option and they don't like either choice, or they don't have enough information to go with one of those. We expand those options, that opens up some possibilities, and it reduces the anxiety so that we can keep thinking. Okay, so we've got 2 steps so far. Turn your brain on. Oh, and by the way, on that one, here's a little phrase that might help you. Don't respond until the adrenaline is gone. We've got that fight or flight thing kicking in. So we want to turn on the thinking part of your brain, expand your options so that you have more things to choose from. And now let's go to the third. Perspective. Okay? For this one, we need to get a little higher altitude view. In fact, if you can picture this from the standpoint of taking off in an airplane. You know, when you take off in an airplane, you're right down in the airport and you're right on the runway and you can see the pavement and you've got trees or buildings or whatever all around you and they start whizzing past. And as you take off, you get a little different perspective of the ground, and within just seconds, you're up at an altitude that allows you to see things that you didn't even see before. This is all about perspective. So what if you could picture the problem that you're in, and it's current, and it's troubling, and it's right in your face, right? What if we could take a little higher altitude perspective of it? What would it look like from 10,000 feet? All right, would it look any different? What would it look like from 30,000 feet? So as you picture just that image of your problem shrinking into the distance, another way to do it is the rule of tens, where you can ask yourself, okay, what will this look like in 10 minutes? Regardless of which choice I make. What will this look like in 10 days? What will this look like in 10 months? Or 10 years. Just keep multiplying that out and getting enough distance from it. So with the client that I mentioned who was dealing with some relationship questions, one of his questions was, should I ask this girl out or not? Let's use the rule of 10 and see how this looks. What will it look like in 10 minutes? Whether I have the courage to ask her out or I don't. All right, in 10 minutes, if I ask her, I'm going to feel relieved that I asked her. And I will either be elated or deflated. One of those. What if I don't ask her? Well, then in 10 minutes, I'll feel probably some regrets that I didn't face my fear and actually ask her. What will it look like in 10 days? Well, in this case, either he's going to be going out on a date with her or not. Okay, what will it look like in 10 months? He will either be in a relationship with her or he will have since moved past that and let go. What will it look like in 10 years? He may be happily married to this person, or she has long since become a distant memory, and it's not even an issue anymore. So that 10-10-10 kind of an approach helps us to put a perspective on it that's not so tied up in the emotions of the moment, which helps us to do number one, which is turn our brain on. So we got the 3 steps. Turn your brain on, meaning the thinking part of your brain. Expand your options, especially if you're trapped in an either or kind of a consideration. And then number 3 is to get the perspective by going up to a higher altitude to look at this thing, or using the rule of 10 so that you can see that it's going to move out in the future and have some impact. But that separates us from the emotions of the moment. Problem solving, take it on. You're going to have plenty of these things showing up in your life. Take it on. So now you should be an expert at solving problems. Subscribe and share Live on Purpose TV. We'll change the world together.